Absolutely beautiful day. Beautiful day. Sunny day here in Missouri. And I figured I would go live, at least for a little bit. Hopefully, I'll get some awesome people to hang out. And this is an open discussion. So, somebody had mentioned yesterday, I believe it was, when I was doing a live stream, they were like, why are you talking to nobody? It was in the beginning of the live stream, shortly after the start, or at the start, or whatever, of the live stream. And yeah, I'm not seeing any accounts playing this right now. But the reason I start talking right away is because some people catch the replays. They like to watch the replays of the live stream. So I don't want to just sit in silence and have them watch nothing and listen to nothing in the beginning of the live stream. So I start talking right away. So two reasons. One, in case anybody is here playing this. And number two, for anybody that might catch the live stream. A replay, that is. I'm seeing one account playing this right now. All right. And one like. My first goal for number of likes is 5. Let's get 5 likes. My first goal. It's my first goal. I've got my big coffee cup. I'm ready to go, ready to rant. I actually posted a bit of a rant on Facebook earlier. And it might offend a person or people. And that's okay. That's okay. Wow, what a beautiful day. A little windy, or however much windy. I am going to work today, so sadly I think I will have little or no time for gardening, but I really wish I could spend some time gardening today. It's such a beautiful day. Great day for gardening. Shawnee Grows, it's me, just eating. Welcome in, Shawnee. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Welcome in. I'm seeing 2 likes. All right. Thank you to whoever hit the like. And I'm seeing 2 accounts playing this right now. Hopefully I'll get some more people to join. Children worked hard this morning to get their jobs done, to earn a library visit in an hour. I love that. I love that. It's too hot here for gardening. Yeah, I remember, I don't recall who it was, but I think a few people from different states mentioned recently that they were getting like a heat wave. I think Florida was supposed to hit up to like 110 or something crazy. And then I think in maybe it was Michigan was supposed to get up into the 90s. I'm seeing 11 accounts playing this right now. 13 accounts. Let's go. Let's grow. If you're a content creator, stop scrolling. Hang out. If you're not a content creator, stop scrolling and hang out. Either way, stop scrolling, folks. Chill with me. I've got Shawnee Grows in the house, in the chat. All right. Introduce yourself. Say hello. Say hello. If you're a content creator, this is a great opportunity for you to grow your channel by making some really awesome connections to other content creators who will actively support your channel, or it's likely that they will actively support your channel. We bought produce at a food stand: watermelon, cantaloupe, cucumber, tomato, green pepper, onions. It was grown in Missouri. Nice. Nice. That's amazing. Way better than store-bought. J-Dog One Party wrote, J-Dog is in the house. And hi, everyone. Welcome in, J-Dog One Party. Thank you so much for being here. Dropped a new video yesterday, me holding a green anaconda. Wow. Wow. All right. I will screenshot and hopefully remember to check my screenshots as a reminder to watch that video and show you some support, J-Dog One Party. Or maybe I'll just remember without checking my screenshots. Hey, as you join in, tell us a little about yourself. Feel free to ask questions. Thank you, Shawnee, for writing that. Thank you very much for writing that. Yeah, introduce yourselves. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We got J-Dog One Party in the house. Shawnee Grows in the house. Both really kind people. Cool people. You don't often see a green anaconda outside of a zoo or a movie. I think that's probably true. So is green anaconda, is that just the description, like just the color of the anaconda, or is that a specific species of anaconda? What was it you wanted to talk to me about in a live, in a comment lately? It was something. I might have to go look. Okay, okay, okay. I think I remember. I think it was about the pH level for hardy kiwi. I think that's what it was, and I will get into that soon. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I'll just give you my opinion about that. The species name, okay. So is that a type that bites people? Maybe it's not common that it bites people, but maybe it has bitten a person or people before. I don't know if I would hold an anaconda. Not sure. I'm seeing 20 accounts playing this right now. Stop scrolling if you are. Chill. Hang out. My name is Colin. This is a beautiful day here in Missouri. This is the day the Lord has made. I shall rejoice and be glad in it. All right. If you're a content creator, stop scrolling. You have the opportunity to connect to some awesome people. Some awesome people like Shawnee Groves, who's in the chat. All right. We also got awesome people like J-Dog One Party, who's in the chat. How day 2 of retirement? Well, we consider it, even though yesterday and today were my wife's first days of not going to work, we consider that her retirement started at 4 p.m. or 4:30, whatever it was on Friday. It's been going amazing for my wife, for me, for our 2 sons. Thank you for asking, Shawnee. Great memory, Shawnee. Oh yeah, pH level hardy kiwi. Yes, that's what it was about. I will get into that soon. Let me just do my thing. All right, normally I don't pay attention or care about pH. Okay, and that's kind of my approach. That's kind of my approach, or is my approach, perhaps. I think some people get too focused on pH, and a lot of people stress about it. That's not good to stress about. But I'll get into that soon. I really will definitely get into that. And it's just my opinions, Shawnee. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you, Shawnee, for writing to hit the thumbs up. I'm seeing 5 likes. Woo! Let's go. You folks made that happen relatively quickly. That was my first goal for number of likes. To those of you who, this might be your first live stream. This might be the first live stream of mine and my wife's that you have made. Thank you for being here. As long as you're not gonna be negative, bad, whatever. I typically like to make goals for number of likes. So my first goal was 5. You awesome people made it happen. Second goal is 10. I'm going right for it. Boom, let's double that. I'm seeing 6. Let's go, hit that like. Comment in the chat. Introduce yourselves. Where you from? What's your name? How's your day going? Don't be shy. Let's go, let's go. J-Dog One Party, it can, if it is, oh, I'm assuming J-Dog One Party was responding to what I had asked about if that snake, that green anaconda, bites people or whatever I asked. Assuming his response was about that. It can. If it is raised the right way, they can be very chill, as you'll see in the video. I never added the acidifier. The plant is still alive. All right, great to hear. So I'm going to get into my opinions regarding the pH of the soil for that hardy kiwi, and actually it's essentially my opinions regarding pH in general. In my experience, this is an opinion, my observational truth. I think, with the exception of adding wood chips around blueberry plants, I have never focused on pH, and we have had a relatively good to great success with our gardening. Most plants are kind of towards that neutral, and if they do prefer acidic or basic, it's usually 1 or 2 steps from neutral, or points, levels, or whatever from neutral. So it's not needed to get the optimal range. It's exactly what I just said, optimal range. So if you want the best growth possible, then yes, A lot of people will use like coffee grounds, which, by the way, used coffee grounds are pretty much neutral in pH. It's the unused coffee grounds that are acidic, I believe. And you can you can have little changes. I mean, if you add a lot, maybe a lot change. All that being said, it's just optimal for most plants. Most plants will thrive or grow relatively well and kind of a neutral pH. And what I say is, when in doubt, organic matter it out. Just came up with that now. But when in doubt, being that hot composted compost, when really composted well, thoroughly, it's kind of neutral, and different things, ingredients in your compost can affect the pH level. But if you're adding lots of compost, it will pull you kind of towards neutral. It will pull you from any extreme you might have, which like 4 would be, I would say, an extreme. Like 9 would be an extreme. It'll pull you from those extremes towards the center, and then it'll get you to that point that most things can grow in that kind of central range, if that all makes sense. So I think organic matter almost always is going to be a win for any gardener with any soil type. That just made me think about how a lot of people think compost is all. Compost is not soil. That's a whole different discussion that I might get into shortly. Some people think you can grow things in straight compost, and you can. You absolutely can, with good or great success. But soil is not compost. Compost is simply organic matter. The way we do our compost, I call it artisan compost. We do have some soil that we add to our compost. So our compost has soil in it, native clay and whatever other things in it. You could add rock dust, which turns those things turn it from soil compost into soil. Folks, you need, for soil structure, and to get soil aggregates, you need sand, silt, clay, things like that, to develop structure in your soil. If you add only compost, you can get kind of a squishing effect and like a mat, and you don't want that. Although the compost can be spongy and loose, what happens with a lot of people, and with tilling, for example, is sure, they mix things up, but rain and time, it's going to separate into layers, okay? And you'll have compacted layers and looser layers. So to keep structure and keep things relatively uniform, sand, silt, clay, etc. And a thing about soil and compost, again, different things that a lot of people don't think about is texture. I rarely or never have seen anyone talk about texture the way that I have on some of our videos. Things like rocks, oyster shells, egg shells, things that water can freely move through, are great things to help with drainage and build soil structure and soil aggregates. And you want to stay away from uniform. Large pieces of things like mulch and organic matter, like twigs and things, it's great to have at least some of those larger pieces in your soil and in your compost, because when you get uniform, then the particulate matter, they squeeze together and they become compact, which is no good. Let me read the chat. Apps Bow. Hi. Welcome in, Apps Bow. Welcome in. Thank you. Hopefully you're still here. I missed some of the chat. Let me get back in the chat. Yeah, the plant winter hardy kiwi, for those that haven't seen my video, was stressed being in full sun. I've dug it up and moved it into east spot, morning sun, afternoon shade. New growth happened. Oh, new growth. That's a great sign. Awesome. Yeah, check out that video after this live stream. I don't want anybody leaving this live stream. When this live stream's done, jump over to Shawnee Grows channel, connect to her, watch that video, and it would be cool if you watched another video or videos besides that video. And give her a like, give her a comment, or likes and comments. Let her know, capital letters, that Triple H sent you, Holistic Heritage Homestead. All right, I want her to know that my wife and I, are supporting her and promoting her channel. Shawnee is cool. She's got a lot of knowledge, and I really like her content. And gardeners, you should definitely be connecting to Shawnee's channel. All right, after this live stream is done. Stay here for now. I feel like there's a lot of myths in how to change pH. Yeah, I believe sulfur does work, and perhaps a gypsum, which might be a form of sulfur. I don't recall. That does work, I believe. I'm very careful. My wife and I both are very careful about adding. We don't want to add toxins, so we really try to go low tox with our stuff. And some soil additives, soil amendments, whatever, I'm careful about. Yep, the only plant I care for acidifier is my blueberries, which makes sense. And a lot of people say just a good amount of wood mulch. You could just break up twigs, whatever. Supposedly can help the pH be a little more acidic. I'm seeing 17 accounts playing this right now. Hey, folks, if you're listening, stop scrolling if you are. Do me a favor. Do my wife a favor. Do my family and I a favor. Hit the like. It's kind. It's free. It just takes a moment. Doesn't require a lot of effort. And it's something you can do today that is kind to help my family and I. And that's totally free. So, do that to be nice. Maybe you'll do that just to feel good about yourself. Whatever. Hit the like, please. All right. Back to the chat. Welcome in Apps Bow. Where are you watching from roughly? Thank you, Shawnee Gross, for welcoming in Apps Bow. Great to see you joining into the stream with Triple H. Thank you, Shawnee, for writing that. Is that a new shirt? No. Maybe first time I've worn it, or first time I've worn it in a while in the live stream. Some folks claim compost is fertilizer, but real, it's a soil amendment of organic matter. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, maybe it could correctly be considered a fertilizer if the nutrients are bioavailable. I might lean more towards it's like a slow release or a timed release fertilizer, because a lot of the nutrients might not be bioavailable yet, even in finished compost. It's a great soil amendment to help with your soil structure, water retention. Okay, one of the major benefits of compost and organic matter in general, and drainage. So it's really great. I just think a lot of people think compost is the answer to everything. It's not. It's not. People are like, well, a pumpkin grew in my compost pile. Compost is all you need. In some situations with some plants, I'm going to be careful here. It is all you need, but do you want your plants to survive, or do you want them to thrive? Optimal would be a nice soil mix, preferably native soil, okay? For all those native, for all that native soil microbiology, and compost and soil amendments for a win. Okay, I recommend no-till or tilling initially a maximum of 1 or 2 times. And I have discussed in a previous video or videos, probably videos, and probably have discussed in a previous live stream or live streams why I do believe tilling can be good or great, at least sometimes in some situations, once or twice. Now, there are some people that are cult-like when it comes down to no-till gardening. And no-till is ideal, but they're kind of weird about it, and they get really aggressive and contentious and stuff if you mention tilling at all. Tilling does have a time and a place in some situations, and there are benefits to it. I do not recommend tilling every year. I think that's counterproductive. I think it's horrible as far as helping build soil and helping the ecosystem, the environment. and it's stupid because you're causing more damage than you get caught in the cycle of using. Essentially, you become like a small version of Big Ag, right? You till, you destroy and kill everything. You destroy the mycelia, you destroy the soil microbiology populations. Then you're like, oh, there's no bioavailable nutrients. We need to add synthetic fertilizer. Oh, there's no healthy ecosystem balance. So now we need to use horrible, toxic, cancer-causing, people-killing insecticides, pesticides, whatever, because they're stupid and or greedy, and they get caught in this horrible cycle of idiocy. That's all scientifically irrefutably true, what I said. Now, I understand, as a thinking, understanding, compassionate person, I understand why a lot of big farmers stick with what their granddaddy did and just do what they learned in agricultural school. And they just keep doing the same because that's what works. That's all they know. They ain't doing any more research. And that's just a conspiracy that you don't need this stuff. And any small growers out there, they're just stupid. They don't know nothing about big farming. And you just keep doing what they've been doing for centuries or whatever, or decades rather. That's how a lot of big farmers are, keeping it real. And they have this animosity to homesteaders and animosity towards gardeners. And to give credit where credit's due, there are a lot of people who have turned away from big ag, destructive, horrible, polluting, cancer-causing practices, and who are now responsible human beings using regenerative and organic methodology. And there's a lot of people who have just hit the ground running from the start as organic, regenerative growers. Big ag, just like big other things I'm not going to say for perhaps a reason or reasons, is like a cult. They are so closed-minded, they don't even entertain the idea of other ways of doing things. There's some growing rant for whoever might be listening. All right, some folks claim okay, I read that. Serbo Gorka wrote, hi, welcome in, Serbo Gorka, if you are still here. Welcome in. Whereabouts are you watching from, roughly? Katina McGee maybe wrote some nonsense. Not sure what that meant. 7, 10, whatever. Someone from perhaps an Asian country or perhaps an Asian person wrote hello. I'm not sure if that's Korean or Japanese or Chinese or what that is. Welcome in. I don't know how to pronounce your... Oh, there you go. I'm June watching Korean. Welcome in from Korea if you're still here. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome in. How's your day going? Thank you, Shawnee, for staying active in the chat and welcoming people, guiding people. Thanks for being awesome, Shawnee. Korea weather is too hot. Oh, okay. Have you ever captured or harvested IMOs? That is, I'm trying to remember what that is. Drawing a blank. Indigenous microorganisms, perhaps. If that's what that is, I think there might be a certain methodology or practice for doing that. But as far as harvesting native soil and moving it, yes, I've done that. Oh, in gardening, IMO stands for Indigenous Microorganisms. I was correct before I even read that. All right, cool. Let me think. Let me think for a moment. Folks, be patient, chill, be present, be still while I think. With my coffee. All right, I was thinking about a thing of things. I'm back now. Shawnee grows. Gardeners collect, cultivate, and use the beneficial bacteria, fungi, and yeast that already exist in the local environment to dramatically improve soil health and plant vitality. Yes, I've done that. I tilled 3 new garden plots to get started this year. The other 5 plots I did not till. But I need my cover crop timing to be on point this fall for mulch next spring. Great job being productive, Shawnee. IMOs. One way is you place a wooden or breathable box of cooked unsalted rice into a natural area like a forest floor near bamboo to act as a trap. I have not done that. Actually, maybe I have done that or something like that. I don't remember. I haven't gone that far. I've just dug up soil from near forest trees, local. But yes, using the rice, I've heard, I believe pantyhose, but my brain goes right to toxins. Is that toxic? Risk versus reward. Maybe it'll leach a little bit of bad toxins, but maybe the benefit of all the microbiology that you could perhaps harvest might create a net win for the ecosystem. So consider toxins, folks. But I believe pantyhose might be something you could put rice in or whatever. I think I've seen it come out like green and or purple or whatever. Once the microbiology is and or fungi is harvested. Over a few days, the native fluffy white molds and fungi that are specialized to your local area will grow into the rice. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that, I think. President Trump signed the Advancing Regenerative Agricultural and Strengthening American Farm Resilience Executive Order. I don't know what it is, but as far as the words, advancing regenerative agriculture, that sounds great. However, I am highly suspicious of all things government people do, because a lot of times they will name things like inversely, like they'll call something the freedom whatever, when actually it's about taking away freedoms. The privacy whatever, when actually it's about surveillance and destroying privacy, things like that. So I would not be surprised if that executive order actually has a negative effect on regenerative growers out there. But I hope it is a positive thing or has a positive effect or effects on regenerative growing out there. It's the future, okay? It's the past that is the future. Ooh, that's deep. Maybe. Really, a lot of people are realizing that they cannot rely on fertilizer being affordable. They cannot even rely on fertilizer being available. So a lot of people going back to what the granddaddy did, and they're composting. A lot of people are going towards no-till because they're seeing that it's flawed, and it gets people caught in a cycle of horrible behavior and horrible growing methodology. Here's another hot topic: herbicides, drifts, or vapor on gardeners' plots. We see it more now because of social media, but really it's been happening since, the 70s. It's a hard battle. Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about herbicides and toxic garbage moving through the air onto like non-sprayed or perhaps sprayed and or sprayed properties, other properties, moving from whatever property to other properties. Do you have an action plan if ever your property had herbicide, drift, or vapor? That's an excellent question. In short, we already have an action plan. I'm going to change that to we already do things to prevent that. One of the most amazing things about our property, and I think it's one of the reasons we bought our property, is part of our property is bordered by government land that will never be zoned for building or farming or anything. I'm not going to say where we are, but at least part of our property is safe because we border with this property. So that's great. As far as neighboring properties, we are kind of low as far as altitude, so whatever toxins probably will come onto our property. Letting our property grow wild gives the opportunity for mushrooms to break down microplastics, which is a thing supported by science. And the way we use our lazy landscaping and letting things grow wild will spread out toxins and make it so that there are less toxic parts per million in each area, if that makes sense. By having more stuff growing, you're spreading out the toxins that are there, if that makes sense. I'm not going to get too deep into this, and I would love for my wife to record a video or videos of me going around our property and like where I'm sitting now, going around our property. Let me finish that, and discussing what we do to mitigate toxins on our property. There is a natural altitude flow. We're on a pitch behind me, and any toxins that might be on our property, anything that might be toxic, even a little bit, we put in a specific area behind our home. And I'm talking low tox, and some stuff might be no tox, but we very careful. So that the vegetation that grows will pull it up. And you have the great mixers. I'm going to get into this a little bit. What I call the great mixers of earth. Wind, rain, and animals. Animals come through, they rub against things, toxins get on them, they spread the toxins. Rain moves it through water, okay? Wind mixes things up. So the way we do it is we could at any time mow the area around our home where there might be probably limited toxins, and we would throw it out because the plants will mine, okay, toxins, pull toxins out of the earth. And there are certain plants that are particularly good at that, like sunflowers, if anyone's even listening to me. And we could throw it out. Mining, keeping them in a small area. We try to keep them in a small area, and we could remove that vegetation, getting however much of those toxins out. Also, just again, like I said, less parts per million by letting things grow. Windbreak. So with our property and the properties that border us, around where our fencing and no fencing areas are, there is a buffer zone of native vegetation, trees, bushes, whatever growing. And we will keep that there, kind of like a living wall, which will hopefully block, absorb, limit the amount of stuff that would spill onto or blow onto our property. And we don't grow, for the most part, on the fringes or edges of our property. There's so much more to what we do, but that's just throwing some stuff out there off the top of my head. Right, I've dug up soil to add into gardens, but never done the capturing with rice method. I would like to do that, and maybe I've done that. I vaguely remember that I might have done that or something like that before. Very much might have. MSage28 said hi. Welcome in, MSage, if you're still here, that is. CR, creative redundancy. Folks, if I say CR, I'm talking about the gentleman who has the channel Creative Redundancy. He's a great guy. Welcome in, CR. Herbs are a great thing to prune in the summer. Yes, they are. Check out Triple H's latest video about herbs. Shawnee, thank you so much for mentioning about checking out our latest video about herbs. Thank you so much. I thought that was a good, thought-provoking video to get people to think twice before they just start harvesting and pruning. CR was greeting J-Dog. Shawnee was greeting MC. Shawnee greeting CR. Shawnee, I'm very suspicious and skeptical of the EO, executive order, I assume she means, named regenerative, because what's really in there, I haven't read it. I'm happy you're very suspicious. We need more people to be suspicious, not to be like negative and pessimistic and miserable, but don't believe everything the people in power say. A lot of people are like, well, that's the party I support, so whatever they do, I know it's good. Idiots. It is a tool. Perhaps it could be an example of and slash or connected to, if possible to be both, double speak. Maybe it has nothing to do with double speak, but I'm telling you, folks, they have named certain legislation in the past. They've chosen carefully what they've named it, and it turns out that whatever they named it, which sounds great, is horrible, and however frequently does the opposite of what the name sounds like, if that makes sense. Oh, I gotta be careful what I say, or I want to be careful with what I say, and maybe have to be. Because we don't really have freedom of speech on this platform. Different discussion. Chop and dropped my like. Thank you for hitting the like, CR. Triple H has a great example of letting the prairie grow. Chopping the weeds when you need them. Thank you, Shawnee. Yeah, sprayed farms drifting or vaporized into people's gardens that are against that. I've seen the video each week lately of it happening. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's so hard to get away from toxins. Well, it's impossible to get away from them completely. There's certain things they're doing that we can't get away from. Unless maybe you could limit that if you're in a greenhouse, then there's still some air movement. So I don't even know if that would completely remove you. Unless it's some closed circuit system, if that's even possible. Folks, try to limit the toxins in your lives. There's only so much you can do. I get it. But being that people are bombarded with toxins from so many things and angles, at least try to limit them. It's ideal to live away from people and ideal to live away from farms that are spraying garbage. But not everyone can do that, and I get it. I totally get it. Quick recommendation that I think is at least connected to the aforementioned topic or topics is everyone listening, including those of you who live in the suburbs, who live in an urban area, take at least a small part of your property. It could be your backyard corner. Please listen to me. Take at least a small part of your property. You can mow around it, landscape around it, whatever, and let nature take over. You have the power to improve the environment where you are. And one of the ways to do that is to do nothing in an area of your property. Please listen to me, folks. You can provide shelter, food, and resources like nesting materials for birds by letting nature take over. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I think it's fun. It's cool to be like, wow, look at that tree that popped up. What kind of tree is it? I was gonna post a video, I was thinking of posting a video, and I'll do it soon, about how diverse native vegetation can be. Look forward to that video, folks. Wildlife refuge land. Write it down and make a video to show how you mitigate toxins or ways to block them out, filters, etc. Yes, I may have already have that in my notes, but I will definitely remember that, and I will definitely put that in my notes. Thanks for the idea, Shawnee. It might already be in my notes. That's going to be a longer video, because in order for people to understand what I'm saying, I'm going to have to get into the science, and that takes time. So that would probably be like a 15 to 30 minute video to cover even just one of the topics that I was getting into as far as how we handle toxins on our property and around our property. But I think some people would like that, for me to get into the details and the science behind it. Creative redundancy wrote sunflower. Yeah, so I thought of this before. I want to get this out. Listen up, gardeners. If you're not a gardener, you should listen too. I saw a video, maybe videos, but they're thinking of one video in particular that I saw a video that somebody had a great thing about, I think it was about sunflowers, how sunflowers are particularly adept at pulling toxins out of the ground, and it might have been specifically about heavy metals, perhaps. But you know what? I might have been the only person who was thinking of what I'm about to say, and I might have been the only person who commented about what I'm about to say. But here's the thing, folks. Some people stop right there. They're like, oh, yeah, toxins. The sunflowers pulled them up. And then the sunflowers die and stay in that area, and they release those same metals, toxins, whatever, onto that area. Folks, if you're mining toxins out, you need to remove that vegetation. Oh, a lot of people don't even think about that step. Throw them in the garbage. Yeah, that's how you get them out. Otherwise, you're just letting them go back onto the property, if that makes sense. And I understand a lot of people just might not have thought about that, but this person was posting about, yeah, do this for toxins, heavy metals, whatever. And it was an incomplete video, as far as I'm concerned. Incomplete information. Yeah, mow that stuff. Get a machete, whatever. Get it off your property. Throw it out. Don't compost it. The point is to remove the garbage, remove the toxins. Yeah, a lot of people, I would say probably most or all the people that I've heard talk about how to remediate soil, mitigate toxins, whatever, don't talk about how in order to do that, you need to remove it from your property. However, to be fair or whatever, it can, when there's that uptake by the roots and into the plant body or leaves or whatever, stem, whatever, it can spread the toxins out. So if you have concentrated toxins, the plant mines it out. It's in the plant dies. Maybe you mow it, you chop and drop, whatever. And then it can simply, through what I've called the great mixers of nature, or whatever I said before, but I'm going to go with great mixers of nature. And I might have said that, coined it that way, or said it that way in the past. The animals, or wildlife, including insects, everything, organisms, wind, and rain will spread it out. So now you've got, which is beneficial, toxins spread out so that in each area you'll have less parts per million of toxins. You have toxins spread out instead of concentrated in an area. So that is beneficial. Better to remove those plants though. Now to get into a deeper thing real quick. Matter cannot be created or destroyed, only converted from one form into another. So if you're removing organic matter from your property in an effort to deal with toxins, you're going to need to, in order to have to not have a net negative. This is about like nutrient flow and organic matter flow. This gets into some other stuff, perhaps deeper stuff. You need to add onto your property. That means you got to get from another property or properties, as long as it's legal. Perhaps if you have a neighbor who does the very stupid thing of raking up all their leaves and throwing them out to the curb or throwing them out or whatever, if those are organic, if they're not spraying garbage in their property, get those leaves, get them on your property. Plus and minus. My wife and I are constantly adding organic matter onto our property. Coffee grounds, whatever, food scraps, different things. Not just in our compost, not just feeding it to our livestock. We also throw things. As long as it's not going to attract, or hopefully not attract, unwanted animals, pests, or whatever. Things that they might not typically eat, like citrus rinds or whatever. Coffee grounds, for example. Urine, okay? Add back to your property. So I just touched base on some like masterclass stuff, lightly touched base on some masterclass stuff. Look forward to probably videos discussing the different things that I've been discussing in this live stream. CR, how's the emergency level where you are? Great memory, Shawnee. Seed, I listen. Rain again last night. Because sunflowers absorb harmful heavy metals. Yes, I believe it is heavy metals. And I believe maybe toxins as well. From the soil and water, they're specifically referred to as hyperaccumulators. Yeah, and biodynamic accumulators. Phytoremediation, yes. And I've heard a person or people say that the whole biodynamic accumulators, like comfrey, for example, like sunflowers, for example, is like a misnomer. And I don't agree with that completely, because they are particularly good because of the type of root, the depth of the roots, and also just the nature of the plants themselves. They are particularly good at pulling those harmful things out of soil. However, folks, most or all plants are biodynamic accumulators, hyperaccumulators. They're going to pull stuff out. It's what you do with those plants after they've grown, after they've pulled the stuff out of the soil. Some washed out roads, not many. Ooh, that's horrible, CR. Oh no, are the levels bad again now that you had rain? I'm going to say I'm very happy we had 1/4 of an inch of rain today. Awesome that you got rain. I think I might have seen you post a video about rain. I might have even commented on it. I was talking to Shawnee there, folks. I greatly appreciate it, Shawnee. Diversity and native growth. Write that down. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I might already have that in my notes. There's also a wonderful plant list. When grown in a safe, toxic-free space, you can mine nutrients using plants. Absolutely. Dynamic accumulators, often called bioaccumulators, or yep, biodynamic accumulators also, are deep-rooted plants that mine nutrients from deep in the soil and bring them to the surface when their leaves decompose or are chopped and broadcasted out. Oh, chopped and dropped as mulch to the nutrients become available to other plants. Yes, but they also pull toxins, and people should be careful about removing those toxins. Or if they just want to spread the toxins out so it's less concentrated in an area, that's still in the right direction. Still a positive thing to do, beneficial thing to do. Potassium and trace minerals. Borage, yes, pulls up trace. Borage, I wonder if it's related to comfrey. It looks similar to comfrey, I think. And I think I probably have thought of that in the past. Actually, I'm going to go with I have thought of that in the past. And I think that mine and my wife's older son, Dean, might have mentioned something about that, or identified the comfrey and or the borage incorrectly, thinking it was the other plant, if that makes sense. Deep soil minerals. Nitrogen, stinging nettle. Boosts soil nitrogen and calcium, makes great liquid fertilizer. Yes, yarrow, I say yarrow, I think. Accumulates dynamic trace elements and is great for building biomass. Yes, phosphorus and calcium, lamb's quarters, known to accumulate phosphorus, calcium, and nitrogen. Red clover, deep root systems that pull up calcium and other trace minerals. Amazing information being shared by Shawnee in the chat. I'm going to screenshot this stuff, even though I think I already knew however much of it. Maybe not the details. Chicory, deep taproot. Yep. Great information, Shawnee. Burdock is one I'm experimenting with. Not the flower seeds, just the leaves or stems. Roots are another use. Yes, borage, Morago officinalis, and comfrey, Symphytum officinale, are closely related. I might have mispronounced one or both of those. They both belong to the same plant family, Boraginaceae, or Naceae. That makes sense. They look similar. My tomatoes are getting flowers now. Awesome, CR. That's awesome, brother. All right, I'm going to finish up, folks. I've got a lot to do in a little bit of time before I head to work. I had a lot of fun. I got to touch base lightly on some different topics that I think are important topics. Shawnee, you've been awesome. CR, you've been awesome. And thank you to all the people who have been kind in the chat. If any of you are still here besides Shawnee and CR, thank you to everybody who hit the like. And this was a nice, cool, little chill hangout session. And I'm going to get going. Stay safe, folks. Prep up, folks. As always, first and foremost, most importantly, God is great. Take care, everybody. Great to see you get your tasks done. Great to see you too, Shawnee, and thank you. I'm going to try.